Hi. So thank you everyone for joining me in this demo and Q&A session for WP Interactions. My name is Benjamin Intal and I'm the founder. So this was supposed to be a live event for the community, but we had some technical difficulties setting up the live streaming, so we opted to pre-record things instead. So first off, I'd like to thank everyone for helping us make our plugin launch a success. We are still in the middle of our launch sale, but we have already surpassed our modest goal. So we have everyone to thank for that. So, okay. So again, welcome to our demo slash tutorial of WP interactions. So that our goal here is to let everyone know what WP interactions is and what you can do with a plugin. So actually, in my screen here is our website. So that's wpinteractions.com. You'll find here a few samples of what the plugin can do. And then also, more importantly, you have video tutorials. So we try and our aim here is to put out a lot of tutorials so that everyone can get onboarded with the plugin quite easily. And in fact, we have just uploaded a few days ago this new video, how to make parallax effects, and this new one, how to 3D rotate an element with your cursor, just came out earlier today. Okay, so let's jump on to the demo slash tutorial. So I guess the question is, how does WP interactions work? Um, it's very simple. It's our aim here is so that we help you make interactions in the front end of your website. So when we say interactions, interactions can mean a lot of things. So it can be a small thing like button hovers, and then it can also be big things like an orchestrated um, list of elements that zoom in while you're scrolling your page. And then interactions can also be animations, your fade ins and fly ins. And then it can also be functional. So that's getting post meta, updating post meta, and doing something with that data and displaying it. So all of those are interactions, and our aim is to um, make all of those available to everyone. So I believe that the best way to learn something is to get right into it. So our what we want to do here now is to get our hands dirty and recreate a website. So let's start off with showing what the website is. It has full of interactions, and then we will recreate it with an identical website that has no interactions, but the structure is in place. So in my screen, you'll see this website, and it has the word original at the top. So since we are gonna duplicate this website into another one, you might get confused which is which. So I put this original, the word original at the top. So it's gonna float around. So when you see that, that means we are looking at the full website, full working website with all the interactions. So let's check out first what interactions we have here. Also, to make things simple, this whole web page was made using the default theme and using all native blocks. And to make things quicker, everything that you see here was made using the available patterns in the theme. And then we added interactions using WP interactions. Some parts we adjusted so that we have uh, for the demo. Okay, so let's look at what's in this website. So first you have this bouncing button over here. So normally when you have your button, you can style it a native button. You can style it filled or outlined. So here we have it outlined, and then we made it hop around every second or two. And then when you hover your mouse on it, it's gonna fade to or fill, have a black fill. And then when you click on it, it's gonna scroll the page to the next section here. Hold on, this has an effect. So let me just refresh my screen. Okay, again, let's do that again. So when you click on this button, it's gonna scroll, and then it's gonna play a staggered fade in animation for all of the text. And then when you scroll down, the next section has it as well. There. So let me just refresh so we can see all of the staggered animations. So there's that. And then when you scroll to the next section, this is our next interaction that we're going to do. It's the team of ducks. So if you scroll up, you'll see that they all go into some different positions. And then when you scroll down, they go back to their correct positions. So it's like the animation is bound to your scroll position. Okay, and then further down, you also have this title animation here. So that's another interaction. And then lastly, at the bottom, you have here a download button. It doesn't download anything, but what's important is if we click on this, it increments the number and it now says downloaded 8 times. And if I refresh this page, it still says downloaded 8 times. And then when I click on the button, it increments again. And now it's 9. So it's persistent. So that's done using by updating the post meta. So now this is the whole page that we will create from the original site. So let's jump to our editor. So this is our editor. It has all the structure, the same structure as the previous page, but there's no interactions. If we preview this in a new tab, if I click on this, it doesn't move. If I click on this, it moves to the next section, but it snaps to the next section, not like in the other page where it's smooth. And then if I scroll down, everything is just static. Okay, so now we will turn this into this one. All right. Okay, so where is WP interactions in this screen? So you can find it in a few places. So the first one is this upper right button here. It says WP interactions. This is our main home for WP interactions. If you click on it, it will list you all of the interactions that you have for this page or accessible in this page. You have 2 types of interactions that you can make. You have element interactions and you also have page interactions. So the main difference between the two is element interactions are attached to an element. So you have to do something to the element for the interaction to get triggered. So if we click on the plus sign here, we'll see the types of interactions that we can add. So you have your clicks, your hovers, toggling classes, attributes on the elements, if the element enters into the viewport, and HTML events. For page interactions, so these are interactions that happen when there's something that changes in the state of the page. So it's not on an element, but it's on the page itself. So if I click on the plus button, we'll see you have your page load, you have your exit intent. While the page is scrolling, URL hash change, HTML event on the document, local storage changes, and page state changes. So you have all of those. You can use any of these, a combination of these. Next, you also have your interactions button at the top. So this is a quick way to add interactions and then get access to all of your existing interactions. If you want to clone existing ones, here you have, or edit them directly, you can do that even if they're not specifically for this page. So you have also the ability to add element and page interactions here. Okay, and then lastly, if you want to add an interaction to a specific block, then you can just simply click on the block, and then you'll have this WP interaction button in the toolbar. Then you can just click on it to add your interaction. Okay, so that's it. So let's start. The first thing that we need to do is, or that we want to do, is to replicate this button over here. If you dissect this, you actually have three interactions happening. So first is your bouncing interaction. So it just bounces indefinitely. And then you have your hover, and then you have your click action. So let's do all of those three. So right now, if I hover my mouse over this, it doesn't do anything. I think that's the nature of the native button block. If I click on this, I set it to outline and I put the color for the text and background, so that essentially removed all of the button highlighting, highlight effects. So what we want to do is we want to put that back in. So we do that by clicking on the block, and then we can add an interaction to this block. So we want the mouse hover. So we can name the interaction to make it easier to better to organize. So it's button fill or button hover fill. Okay. Now WP interactions is all about creating timelines, timelines of actions. So now in our mouse hover interaction, we have two timelines that are available to us. You have your on hover action timeline, and below it you have your on hover out actions. So first, let's do first the on hover action, or rather the on hover timeline. So what we want to do on mouse hover, we want to change the color of the button. So we want to change the background color. Also, this I just realized this is the first time you'll see this screen. So we have a bunch of actions available inside the timeline. So if you want to add one, we have display actions, you have your animation actions, you have styling actions, navigation, events, things for manipulating the HTML. You also have data handling, so you can run custom JavaScript or run custom PHP. You can even render shortcodes from the back end. You can get post metadata and update them. You have some conditional flow here. Local storage, page state, you can change them. And then a fun thing, you can throw confetti, console log for debugging, and then you can copy text to your clipboard. So, but right now, what we want to do is we want to change the background color. So we'll just pick it, and now we can change the color. So now it's black. And then also, if you can see, this background color gets applied to the interaction trigger, which is in this case our button. And then we want to add another action, which is to change the text color, and we want to change it to white. There. So next, you'll notice that since I added a second action, you'll see that the first action here says 0. So this is the timing of the action. The first action, which is the background color, it's executed at 0 seconds. And then the next action is at 0.5 seconds. So this is helpful, although now we want them both to change simultaneously. So we can change the timing by just clicking here, or you can also drag the action and attach it to this one. So if I hit preview, you'll see the change here right away. So let's try and save this and then check out the front end, what it looks like. So now if I hover my mouse over the button, it will become black. But if I hover my mouse out, it retains the color. So that's because on hover, I changed the colors, but on hover out, I didn't do anything. So let's fix that by adding a new action, background color. We'll set this to transparent. Then the text color, change it to black. And then let's connect them together. And now in the front end, if I hover my mouse, it's black, filled with black. Hover out, it's back to normal. So now we have our first interaction. So you can just go back. And now we can see here that we have one interaction. And then it's for this button over here. So for the bouncing effect, let's do that next. If we check out the front end, it bounces and then waits and then bounces and then it repeats. So we need to do that same thing. So we don't need an element interaction because we didn't do anything for it to trigger. So we need a page interaction. So you just click on plus and then you'll see the different interactions that you can add. Right now we need the page load interaction since we want the timeline to play at page load and loop. So this one is called button hop. And then for the actions, it's just one page load actions. There's no other panel. And then let's add here a move action. So you'll notice also that there's this red warning icon over here. If you put your mouse over it, you'll see that it says please select a target. So this wasn't an issue in the previous interaction because we were making an element interaction. But since this one is a page load interaction, we need to attach this move action to something, because right now we're moving nothing, so we have to make it apply to something. So we can update that over here. So you can change the applied to field. You can set it to a block. You can either enter the anchor of a block or the ID of a block, or you can use this button over here, which is the target selector. So if I click on it, it will turn into a select mode, and then I can choose a block to attach the move action to. But here I'm gonna click this block, this button block, and click on select block. So now what happened is it generated a new anchor ID or a new anchor for this button block so we can target it. Okay, so we will apply the move to this button and then we want to make it go up. And then, so that's after 0 seconds. At 0 seconds, we wanted to move up. And then we will do another move action to make it go down. But now, instead of adding a new action with the plus button, let's try something new. It says here, Command C to copy, Command V to paste. So it's a shortcut for us to duplicate this action over here. So now I have duplicated it. I have two actions. We can make this Y 0 so it can go back. And then we also have easing. So we can set this to back so that it will have some bounce effect. And then we'll make it start at 0.5 seconds instead of 0. So that this plays and then this plays. And then we can loop it. And then right here, we can already do a preview to see what happens. So here it bounces, but it's a bit fast. So we can add the loop delay. So let's say 1 second. So now it's now looping. It waits for 1 second. Okay, so let's save it. So we have that. And then the next one, or let's check the front end. So now it's jumping indefinitely. Okay, so let's move to the next interaction for this button. If you click on this, we added some hash anchors or block anchors. So if you click on it, it moves here. But it's instantaneous and it doesn't look nice. If we check the original, if you click on this, it smoothly scrolls to the next section and it's in the center. So you want to replicate that as well. So we can create another interaction for this. So let's click on the button, pick interaction. So now you can see the interactions that we created for this button. They're already listed. You can go ahead and click it if you want to edit it. But now we want to add a new interaction for this block. So we're going to click it. And then we want on click, button, scroll down. We want the action to be scroll to element. Now, there are a lot of actions in our list. So to make things easier, if you already don't know the name, then you can just search for it. And then it will show you the relevant actions. And then you can just use your arrow keys to move up and down to select. And then press return. So now I picked scroll to element. So where will we scroll to? We will change this field over here so we can scroll to the next block, and then we can use the picker again to pick it. If in case it's very hard to see which block you're selecting, you can easily find it out what block you're currently at by checking the blue outline, and then you can see also the name of the block. But if it's still hard because you have different layers, you can open your document overview, and then you can pick from here. So I'm picking the next section, so select block. So now it's going to scroll to this section, and I want it to stay in the center. So I'll just save this and then preview in the front end. So now when I click, it goes to the center. But if you notice, there's some kind of flickering happening. I don't know if you can see it in the screen, but in mine it's very visible. So it's because it's conflicting or fighting with the current target here, which is hash second section. So we can just, in this click interaction, we can just turn this on to prevent the default click behavior, and then that removes the flickering. Okay, so that we are done with the first section. So let's jump to the next. Back in the original, if we refresh this, if you click on this, the next section, um, all the texts fade in. So we can do something like this as well by targeting all of the text here and then making them changing their opacity. So let's exit that, and then now we're gonna add an interaction to this section. So what we want is when it enters into the viewport, we want the children of this block to all fade in a staggered way. So fade in staggered. Excuse me. And we'll add in the opacity action. But instead of applying the opacity to the entire thing, because when we change this, you'll see that everything fades out. We just want to apply it to all the blocks inside. So we can choose, or rather, let's use selector. We will use all of the P tags and all of the H2, because this is H2 and the others are paragraph tags. And if we check it out, if you make this opacity 0, you'll see that unfortunately everything disappeared. And that's because we are matching all elements that match the P and H2 selector. So since this interaction is, or the trigger is this section, this group, you can check it over here. The interaction trigger is this block, this one, which you can change, by the way. We can also change the matching of this selector. So if I open this, we can pick to only match the elements that are the children of the interaction trigger. So now only the elements, or only the P tags and the H2 tags of this section is now hidden. Okay, so what we want is for all of the text to be hidden at the start, and then they'll show up. So we want all of these to be opacity 0 at the start as a starting state, and I'll duplicate this, and then at 0, so I turn this off, I'll make them opacity 1 again. So, but now it looks like this in the front end. They all appear at the same time. So what we can do is just turn on the stagger option over here. Let's make it 0.03 seconds. So that means this text here will appear at the start, and then after 0.3 seconds, this one, and then this one, and then this one. So it applies the opacity action in a staggered way. So now in the front end, it looks like this. Okay. But there's one more, and our other demo, we also made it move up a bit for an added effect. So let's just duplicate this. We can change the action since we already have the selectors. We can change it to move, and then we'll make it start at the lower Y. You can see it right now because I have it at 0 opacity, but I can make them then move at 0 seconds back to 0. And let's save it and then check it out. Oh, it didn't apply. Hold on. Let's check it out here. Only match that are children, P and H2, and then here, only match that are children at 0. Hold on, let me refresh. Again, where was it? This one. I think I might need to recreate that because it was a move, it was an opacity. It may have some kinks, but for now, but we will fix all of those. Maybe 20 again, and all matching the parent, the children. Then make it go 0 again. Why isn't it applying? Oh, I know. It's because I didn't put the stagger. There we go. There we go. Okay. So now if we refresh, if I click on this, they'll all now fade in a staggered way. So that's only for this one. How about the next one? So since it's quite similar, we can just change how this interaction works. So right now, the interaction is applied when this block that has the anchor second section enters into the viewport. So instead of making the trigger just one block, we can select multiple ones by using the CSS selector. So let's say let's make a new selector. Let's make it fade content. Oh, or CSS class, which is almost the same. So let's make a new class, fade content, and then let's give this the additional CSS class fade content, and also the other one fade content. Okay, and now going back, now both of them have their text hidden, but the CSS selector only says P and H2, so that didn't include the image and the list. So we can go ahead and add those in. IMG, LI, and anchor. So this one doesn't hide because in the back end, in the editor, it's really a button or a div maybe. But in the front end, it's displayed as an anchor tag, so we should be good in the front end. Hold on. Fade content. Children of the interaction trigger. Ah, there we go. Okay. So now let's refresh again. If I scroll down, this one shows and the other one also shows. There. Okay. So for the next one. So the next one is the ducks, right? So this one is an interaction that is attached to the scroll position. So for this one, let's exit this. And then in this one, what you want to do is to create a new page interaction that is while page is scrolling. So for this one, let's name this meet the team or meet our team. And then for this one, let's add the new action, and the actions here are going to be a move action and also a rotate action for each of the ducks. So we need a move action. So again, here we again have a warning here. It says please select the target. So let's first select the target. So this picture, and now it still has a warning, but now it's different. It says you need another move action with the same target for this animation effect to work. Okay. So for, if you can see, the timeline now is a bit different. If we check the other timelines that we have, it's all seconds. So this is 0 seconds. If you check here, it's 0 seconds. It's all about the timing. But for this one, for the while page is scrolling interaction, it's 0% to 100%. That's because this timeline is tied up, or it's bound to the amount of scroll that you have. So when you're scrolled up to the first for to the top, this is 0%. Actually, I'll turn on live preview so it's better to see. This blue tag over here is at 0. That's because I'm scrolled to the very top. But if I scroll down, you'll see it also moves, because we're now previewing the interaction until the very bottom, which is 100%. So this one is um, your scroll position. So now this one needs two actions to work, because we want to animate from one state to another. So you want to move the image block from one position to another. So that's why you need two. So for this one, let's say at 30%, so that's around this part of the screen, or there. 30. We want it to be on the left and maybe at the top. So this slider over here is from -100 to 100 only. But if you need more values, you can just change or type in the value here. So we'll make it over there, and then we will duplicate this, and at around 35. Oh, let's check. Yeah, let's check later in the front end. At around this point, we want it to be in the 0 position. So if we check this in the front end, oh, it's too high. Maybe around 49. It's still too high. Yep, still too high. Okay. Okay, a little bit. I think this will a little bit more. Okay. And then this one, let's see. Okay, okay. All right. So now we have a move action tied up to this duck, but we also need another one. So we will have rotate. We want it to be the same. Let's target the same duck, and we'll rotate it like so, and then we'll make another one so that we can rotate it back to 0. So this looks like this in the front end. So when you're scrolling, it goes there. All right. So at this point, it's just about repeating this step, because in a timeline, you are allowed to put as many timeline actions as you want, and you're also not restricted to which target, which blocks you apply it to. So I can readily just duplicate this move action, check the next duck, and then change the position over here, maybe 200, and then duplicate this again, turn it to 0, and then I'll do the same with the rotate. Oh, wait. I duplicated it, so I need to change the target to that, and then duplicate again, now to 0. So with that, now I have 2 ducks that are animated there. So I can just repeat it with the rest. So let's just do it very quickly for the sake of completedness. Okay, move over there, maybe from below, and then duplicate this. Oops, 0, 0, and then to rotate. Change the block to this one. Change the rotation. Rotate to 0. The next move, pick another duck, maybe 200, and yeah, below. Next move, 0, 0, and the last rotate. Maybe this value, but this, the next picture. All right, almost done. Okay, so this looks like this in the front end. There. So you're not limited to just this. You can add other actions at the top, in the middle, or below. So you can build complex timelines with this. All right, let's skip the FAQs for now, and let's go to the next one. So this last one, going back to our original website. If we click on this, let's try and dissect it. If you click on this, the number will increment and then it gets saved. Since if I refresh the page, now it keeps the new number. So there are actually 2 things that are happening here. First is, if we click on this, a post meta gets updated, and then this text over here gets updated with the new number. And then the second thing is, when we refresh the page, the current value or the current post meta is loaded to this text. So that's the 2 things that we need to do. So first, we need to turn on the custom fields. So to turn that on, right now it's off. We have to go to preferences, turn on custom fields. It's going to ask us to reload the page. And now when you scroll down, you'll see custom fields here. So we need to create a new one. So let's name it downloaded num. Make it 4 maybe at start. So we have it there. Next, we need a click interaction here because we want to do the updating after you download. So download, click. Prevent the default click behavior. And then now we want to update the post meta. So this is an action that's readily available. So we want to update the current post and then what meta key. So this one, this is the key name. And then we want to increment the value. And you have here permissions. So just in case you have something that, or you want to make an interaction that's only for logged in users, this is an additional security measure. So you can add this, but for now we don't need it. And then we're gonna save it. So let's check in the front end. So right now this downloaded num says 4, but in the front end, so it didn't update. But if we click on this, click, go back to the back end, refresh this, scroll down, now we see it's 5. So it did update, but it didn't just update this figure here yet. So we can do that by editing the action, the interaction. And right after updating the meta, what you want to do is replace the text here. So we want to select this, that paragraph, select, and we want to update it. But with what value, right? In the update meta action, you have here what we call a reference ID. So this is the data referencing feature of WP interactions. So after doing a successful update post meta, it's gonna give you the new value in WP interactions, and then that value will be you can reference it if you add a reference ID. So let's call this new downloaded num. Okay. So after we do an update post meta, the new number will be accessible with the new downloaded num reference ID. So how do we access it? You'll find in the different actions and WP interactions this button, and it says use value from an earlier step. So if you click on it, it will show you all the reference IDs that you have for this interaction. And I have here the new downloaded num. So I can just select that, and then I can add text before it, which is downloaded, and then times. And then now this one will get applied to this text over here. So let's see what it looks like. Right now, the downloaded num is 5. And now if I click on this, it now says downloaded 6 times. It's because if I refresh the editor, it now says 6. Okay, so that's data referencing. Let's get back to it. So you'll see this button everywhere. So like here, meta key, that means you can dynamically set the custom field key from another step. Okay, so how about this one? So this one says downloaded blank time. So we need to change that. So for this to work, what we need is to change it on page load. So on page load, update download num, the action will be get post data. So we're gonna get the post data from the database, and we will get post meta for the current post. The key is downloaded num, which is here. We'll get it, and we have to put it again as a reference. Current download num. So this means this action over here just gets the data and then makes it accessible to the succeeding actions. So now you have the data, you can access it through this reference ID, and it's up to you where you want to use it. For us, what we want to do is we want to change the text. So you can use other actions as well. You'll see that button, that lightning button again. But this one, we'll want to replace the text, and you want to use this, and we'll change it downloaded blank times. And we'll select this paragraph block again, and we'll do it at the same time. So it is not actually the same time. It executes one after the other. So when this get post meta is when it finishes, this one will be next. So we can just save it. So now when we refresh the page, it now shows downloaded 6 times. And then when we click on this, it's going to do downloaded 7 times, download 8 times. So this is download counter, but it doesn't download anything. So if you're building something real, then you might be interested in, after doing the update meta and replace, you might be interested in doing a where is it, a redirect. So this can be something that you can do as well, but for now don't have to do that. And then that's it in the front end. So this is our fully working copied website. Okay, so this concludes the demo portion of the video. Now we can jump to Q&A. So for the Q&A, it's too bad I really wanted to do this live, but unfortunately can't do it right now. So here are some questions that we got from the community. Some of them don't have credits of who asked them, so apologies for that. but the others have. So these are some of the questions that we got and we want to answer in this video. So question number one, which block plugins does WP Interaction support? Can you tell us more about what blocks it has been tested on so far? Okay, so WP Interactions is designed to support all native blocks and then any custom block as well. So it works with the most popular block plugins such as Stackable, Greenshift, Author Cadence, Generate Blocks, and so on. So we've tested it with them, but we plan on making more in-depth integrations with other blocks in the future. But when it comes to block support, you should be able to use any block, should be able to trigger or select the blocks as targets. And worst case scenario, if something doesn't work, you can always use CSS selectors or CSS class names. Okay, next question. So why is WP Interactions not a feature of Stackable? Okay, so this has been asked in the Stackable community. So WP Interactions was initially created to be a feature of Stackable, but we felt that we had something going on here that was good, and we didn't want to limit it to just be for Stackable users. Although it works great with Stackable blocks and native blocks, we felt that um, anyone should be able to use it no matter what block library you're using. Um, so WP Interactions is fully compatible with the WordPress core blocks and many other blocks, not just Stackable. So why limit it to just being a feature when anyone can use it no matter what block library you're using? Okay, next. Question 3, are you still using Freemius? So yes, we are still using Freemius. We are using it for WP Interactions, but we are not using it the same way as our other or Stackable uses it, and then how other plugins are using it. We don't use the Freemius SDK. If you are familiar with that, we have a special implementation of Freemius, so we don't have any opt-ins. We don't have the full SDK in the plugin. There are no other. We use Freemius only for license activation and for purchasing. So there's no, the bare minimum data is shared. So you don't have the opt-in that's usually with other Freemius plugins. Okay, next is from Thomas Eckhoff. What about performance when using WP Interactions with your theme/plugin? And what is the difference between or with Greenshift for WordPress? Okay, so for the performance, I have here a link to our docs. So is your plugin lightweight and fast? This actually answers it because file size wise, this answers it. I mean, so WP Interactions, we only load 2 files, or rather one main interaction script. So that's around 17.7 KB gzipped. And then so that's the main engine. It's a static file. So the good thing here is if you have interactions in other parts of your site, then this is cached by the browser, so it doesn't load any additional afterwards. It's just loaded from your cache. And then for every interaction or trigger or action type that you use, there's an average of 500 bytes that's added to the page. So that's this one. So we only load what's used in the page, aside from the engine. So here's an example. If you have 2-click interactions and then they both use opacity and update post meta actions, so this is the total amount of file size that's added. So you have your main script, 17.7 KB, and then you have the click interaction, it's loaded once, opacity, and update post meta. So that's just 19.2 KB gzip. So that's it. And then it only does things in the front end, so your server performance won't be affected. And then what's the difference between Greenshift for WordPress? We're not too sure how much is the difference with them, but what our aim is not to be just for animations. So we want to be for both animations and have functionality as well. So as if you can look back in our demo, we have some um, post meta updating and getting. So it's not purely for aesthetics. So I'm not sure if that answers the question, but at least it's an answer for other plugins in general that have some type of interactions. So we try and focus. We try and give more focus to functionality as well. Okay, so question number 5 from Wilson Ip. What are some unique combo opportunities combining WP interactions with dynamic shortcodes? So I took a look at dynamic shortcodes. So I think there are quite a few opportunities for using both together. So I have a screenshot over here. So with dynamic shortcodes, we are not affiliated with them. We haven't talked to them yet. But from what I know, you can use some shortcodes built by them to pull in data in the different parts of your, let's say, query loop. So I think that can work because you can pull in data from them. So like the demo I showed earlier here. So going back here, this one downloaded 8 times. This had to be an interaction um, here. Update here. So this one is a on page load. You load the post meta and replace the text here. So I think that can be replaced by dynamic shortcodes or a plugin like dynamic shortcodes. And then so that's one. So you'll save an interaction with that. And then another thing, I noticed that you can also use dynamic shortcodes to get the post ID. So you can put that in an anchor. So theoretically, you can put that so that in WP interactions, you can use it and parse it to get the post ID to do something to the post. Maybe just uh, just an idea. Okay. So, but that's one. That's two ideas actually. Question 6 from Valentin. Excuse me. Can you show us how you can recreate these website animations? So he provided 3 websites. Actually, some of the demos we showed earlier were based off the sites that was given, but I don't think you can recreate all of them because but if we're missing an action or a trigger, then I think that's something that we can accommodate. If you have cool ideas for new interactions, new triggers, new actions, and we can definitely look into that. Question 7 from Rob Carter. When will the WP interactions promotional sale and lifetime deal end? So both will end on August 31. So after August 31, what will happen is there will be no more sale. It will be back to, or it will not be back. It will be now on the normal prices. So let's check back in the site. It says here pricing. So it's at 29, 59, and 99 after August 31. And also, this lifetime plan will be gone as well. Next, question 8. Will development of Stackable end since the focus is now on WP interactions? So the answer here is no. The development of Stackable is still ongoing. So our focus didn't shift to WP interactions. It's just one. It's another plugin that we want to be in our roster. So our aim right now is for both to be our main plugins. Um, in fact, for Stackable, we recently did one performance update for the server side processing, and currently we are also doing some more performance optimizations, but now in the editor side. And aside from that, we're also working on the repeater block. So a lot of people are waiting for that, and our tentative date for that is also the end of August. Okay, last question. Question 9. What does the roadmap of WP interactions look like? So we don't have a formal roadmap for WP interactions yet, but our aim right now is to first address any missing things, and then we also want to help people better get onboarded with WP interactions. So that means we want more examples, more tutorials, more videos like this, and maybe implement any highly requested triggers and actions. So we have a few in our list that we want to implement soon. And I mentioned earlier that we just added the new parallax video a few days ago in the tutorials page, and then also we just added earlier today the 3D tilting video. So if you have any ideas for future tutorials, please let us know here in the comments or in the community. Okay, so that's the questions. And this concludes the video. So remember, we are still on our launch sale, and then we are halfway already. So it will again end in August 31. So please, if you haven't gotten WP interactions yet, then now is a good time. If you are a Stackable user, be sure to check your email or check the community in WP Stackable. There's an additional what do you call that? Additional discount for WP Stackable um, supporters, or rather customers. And then for WP interactions, please join the community, check out the tutorials, especially the new ones, and then let us know if you have any other suggestions or if you find bugs or anything. All right. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next one.